Hi, Donald. So, your question was about ideas for pressuring or persuading China to take a stronger stance against human rights violations and, more generally, reforming its attitude toward human rights. According to Human Rights Watch, China's human rights record is indeed pretty atrocious. In an article titled UN Rights Body Needs to Challenge Powerful and Abusive China, they detail instances of harassment, arbitrary detention, torture, and ill treatment, and enforced disappearance of activists, lawyers, and others deemed a threat to the state. So there they also talk about interference with UN human rights procedures, including harassment of activists that attempt to limit activist participation. They also manipulate the accreditation process of the UN's Economic and Social Council to deny accreditation to dissenting NGOs. With these tactics in mind, I think maybe those NGOs could use some support from the US at the very least. As an answer to your questions, I think diplomatic engagement is critical, both in a traditional official capacity and in an informal, unofficial capacity. To a lesser extent, I think transnational corporations and private organizations could play a role. Now, when it comes to public diplomacy, the broadcast journalist Edward R. Murrow famously talked about the last 3 feet in international exchange, which he said is bridged by personal contact. So one person talking to another. I think this is crucial in order to understand the national interests of any nation and respond to the needs of people on the ground. The means of doing so is less clear, but I do think it is unwise to respond to protectionism with more protectionist measures. So since public diplomacy can be described or defined as a method of engaging, influencing, and informing the global public, I think it should play a critical role in reforming China's attitude towards human rights. But at the same time, I think it is one small yet crucial part of that process, and there's a lot of work to be done. I hope that answers your question. Thanks.